Hey, what's up guys? This video is for section 3.3, which is rate of change and the slope of lines. And yesterday I made a video on how to find the slope of a line from a graph and how to find the slope of a line with two given points. Today you guys are going to find a missing value when you guys have the slope of the line already and you guys have 2 points, but like I said, you guys are going to look for a missing value in one of the points. So let's go ahead and look at one of the questions. I'm looking at number 17 here, and I'm going to read the instructions first so we know what we have to do in order to solve the problem or to actually find the missing value. It says find the value of r, so that's the exponent, no, not the exponent, the variable that we're looking for. So the line that passes through each pair of points, so we know the line actually passes through those points, but it has a given slope. So we are going to be given a slope that we can use in order to find that given point. So number 17, you guys have 2 points, and the first one is -4 and 3. The second one, notice we have a variable r and 5. Now the line that passes through those 2 points, the slope has 1/4, or the slope of the line is 1/4. That's helpful because we can actually use the slope formula to solve for the missing value. So let me go ahead and write down the slope formula. So now that you guys see the slope formula on the screen, you guys are going to substitute the values that we know. So first, let's go ahead and label what we need in order to know where the numbers go. So for the first point, I label this one as x1 and y1. For the second point, I label it x2 and y2. Notice that we already have m, and let me highlight that. So we know that m, right here guys, m is 1/4. So when you guys look at the formula, well, we do have m. What is the value of m? 1/4. I put 1/4 here, equals y2 is 5 minus y1 is 3 over the bottom, x2 is r minus, and x1 is -4. Now, since it is negative and I already have a minus, I need to use parentheses, -4. First of all, on the bottom, we do have double negatives. So I need to turn that into positive, and then I need to solve for the variable that we want to find. And r is the variable that we want to find. So I'm going to put 1/4 here, equals, I'm going to simplify the top of the fraction, the numerator, 5 minus 3, that's 2. And at the bottom, I'm going to have r plus 4. Double negative turns into positive. So here you guys have the double negatives, it turns to plus. You guys have a proportion. You guys have 2 fractions that are equal to each other. To solve proportions, you're going to cross multiply. So I will multiply this 2 first. 1 times r plus 4. So I'm going to do the work on the side over here, guys. 1 times r plus 4, and notice that I'm using the parentheses for the r plus 4 because it is a binomial. Those 2 terms are together side by side, so we need to keep them together inside the parentheses. Then you guys are going to multiply 4 times 2. What is 4 times 2? Well, that's going to be 8. Now if you guys go back to the left side of the equation, when you multiply by 1, everything inside the parentheses is going to stay the same. Any number multiplied by 1 is the same number. So mathematically, you guys distribute the 1 here, you multiply. But like I said, guys, you guys are going to keep everything the same. R plus 4. I'm going to put equal to 8 over here. Now you guys have a regular linear equation. You guys have r plus 4 equals 8. Let's go ahead and get r by itself. So I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides because I want to cancel the constants. So r equals 4. So the answer here, r equals 4. That's the missing value, the missing number right here in the second point that we need, 4. Now, how does it work? Why is it 4? Well, guys, when you guys have these numbers in the first point, -3, -4, and 3, you guys have a 5 in the second point for the y, and you guys make this one a 4. When you guys use the formula, you will get a slope of 1/4. Let's look at number 20. Number 20 is a little bit different because they say the slope is undefined. So first of all, we need to understand what this is, undefined. Let me go ahead and write down the slope formula. And now let's understand what it means, okay? So first, let me label my points. Here's x1, y1, x2, y2. Let's go ahead and understand slope equals undefined. When you guys actually have a fraction that is undefined, you guys need a 0 on the bottom of the fraction. You guys need a 0. So you guys, if you try this in your calculator, you take any number and you divide by 0, it is going to be an error in the calculator. It's going to have a syntax error, or we say it's undefined. We don't know what it is when you guys divide any number by 0. Now you might be thinking, well, what number do we use on top of the fraction? The easiest number you guys can use, remember, no matter what number you guys have and you divide by 0, that's going to be undefined. So the easiest number that you guys can use is 1. That's the smallest number, positive number, 1. And when you multiply anything times 1, well, it's going to be the number itself. So I'm going to keep 1 over 0. That's undefined. On the other side, I'm going to substitute what I know. y2 is 5 minus y1 is 4. On the bottom, x2 is r minus x1 is 1. I don't have double negatives, so I'm just going to simplify. 1 over 0 equals, on the top of the fraction on the right side, 5 minus 4 is 1, and you guys have r minus 1. You guys are going to cross multiply. 1 times r minus 1. 1 times anything is going to be itself. So I'm going to have r minus 1. And then you cross multiply 0 times 1. That's 0. Now you guys can solve. You guys don't have fractions anymore. I'm going to add 1 to both sides. And this cancels. So r equals positive 1. Now I want to emphasize, guys, you really need to understand when the slope is undefined, you guys are going to have a fraction with a 0 on the bottom. Denominator is 0. That's what we say in mathematics when you guys have a fraction and you're trying to solve. See, the denominator cannot equal to 0 because it's going to be undefined. But in this case, we know the line is undefined, so we can use a 0 on the bottom of the fraction to solve for the specific variable. So number 21, I'm going to do that one. I already have the slope formula here. And you guys are going to substitute the values that we know. So I'm going to label my points x1, y1, x2, y2 over here. And notice that my slope is not a fraction, it's an integer. But you guys need a fraction. So let me just highlight this one here. It's an integer, m equals -5. You guys need a fraction in order to use the formula. So I'm going to make that -5 a fraction. All you do, guys, you put a 1 under that number, -5 over 1, and that turns into a fraction. So when I substitute, I'm going to have -5 over 1. On the other side, y2 is r. Notice that's the variable r. Y1 is 2, so r minus 2 over x2 is -8 minus, and notice x1 is -7. So I need a parenthesis because I'm going to have double negatives. My double negatives are right here underneath on the bottom of the fraction. So I'm going to keep this as a fraction, -5 over 1. On the other side, I have r minus 2 over -8 plus 7. Double negative turns into positive. Let's go ahead and simplify the denominator on the right side. So -5 over 1, and you guys have r minus 2 over -8 plus 7 is -1. Now you guys have a proportion. You guys can cross multiply. So let's go ahead and cross multiply here. -5 times -1. You're multiplying. So I'm going to do the work over here. That's positive 5. Negative times a negative is positive. 5 times 1 is 5. On the other side, you guys are going to multiply 1 times r minus 2. And that's going to stay the same because you're multiplying by 1. So r minus 2 stays the same. R minus 2 because you multiply everything by 1. Now you guys are going to add 2 to both sides because you guys need to get r by itself. 5 plus 2 is 7 equals r, or you can say r equals 7. So that is my value for r for number question 21. And the last one I'm going to do for this video, guys, we do have two, notice we have two variables, r, or two different places. It is the same variable, but both points are missing an actual value. The slope is also 0. So this one, you really need to understand what happens when you guys have a slope of 0. So using the slope formula, again, I am going to substitute the slope into the m equals 0, but I need a fraction. Now, what happens when you guys have a slope of 0? How do you set up the fraction? I already talked about when the slope is undefined. Let me repeat that again. If the slope is undefined, you guys need a 0 on the bottom of the fraction. Doesn't matter what number on the top. And I didn't mention this, but I'll mention it right now. You can, when you're dividing by 0, you guys cannot actually have a 0 on the top, because 0 divided by 0 is also undefined. But you guys don't use 0 on the top when you guys have undefined. When you guys have a slope of 0, like this one here, m equals 0, you guys still need a fraction. But you guys will keep the 0 on the top of the fraction, 0. And on the bottom, do not use 0. You guys need any number. Don't use negatives, but the easiest number that you guys can use, and that number is 1. So 0 divided by 1 is 0. We know that in mathematics. When you guys divide 0 by any number, that's going to be 0. So it's okay to have a 0 on the top. It's not okay to have a 0 on the bottom because that's undefined. But here we have a 0 over 1. And I'm going to label my points again. x1, y1 over here. You guys have x2 and the y2. So I'm going to have r minus 2 over 5 minus r. Now, when you guys multiply this and you use cross multiplication, look what happens. 0 times 5 minus r. 0 times anything. When you multiply 0 times any number, that is 0. And on the other side, you guys are going to multiply 1 times r minus 2. So that's going to stay as r minus 2, because you multiply r minus 2 times 1. Any number times 1 is going to be itself, the same number. And that's why it shows 1 on the bottom of the fraction, because it's a lot easier to multiply any number by 1. Now you guys are going to add 2 to both sides over here. And you guys have 2 equals r. This cancels. Or you guys can say r equals 2. So that's it for this video, guys. Just remember that these are short versions, short videos for my lessons. I do give you guys the long version on my Google Classroom in the mornings when you guys check in and you guys are doing your classwork. But if you guys are interested, you guys can go to my Algebra 1 playlist in my YouTube channel, and you guys can watch the long version, the full version of this lesson. So I want you guys to practice, make sure you guys do your work, and I'll see you guys later.